Welcome back to the channel, and today we are checking out Flight Unlimited. And as a fan of VR flight sims, I've had my eye on this one for quite some time, as it looks to be Quest's version of Microsoft Flight Simulator, and it launches today on Quest 2 and Quest 3 in early access. And when I say early access, this is an extreme use of the term for Flight Unlimited. I also want to add I do take pride and care in trying to make my videos look the best they can do on the channel, but it's been almost impossible to make this game look as good as it does in the headset while recording for this video. This is being developed by Taz App Systems, who have already shown they have the skills to make a good VR flight sim, because Flying Aces, their previous game, which from memory was pretty good. But this game isn't about combat, it's about exploring key landmarks with a very diverse lineup of planes, and there's also challenge modes, but these aren't available right now in early access. But now let's get into what you actually get if you buy into early access. You get about 6 locations to fly around, and these look straight ripped out of Google Earth, plus with some 3D geometry laid on top. And as I said, the crazy line of planes ranges from a Spitfire-like plane called a Curtiss P-40E up to the massive Boeing 747. And there's also lots of interesting ones on the roadmap, like the B-2 stealth bomber and others, and all of these planes have interactive cockpits. But I have to say, these interactions are very minimal, and you can only really mess around with the basics, such as throttle, brakes, flaps, and obviously each plane feels extremely different to fly. In terms of presentation, it's a bit all over the place, and as I said, capturing gameplay today has been a massive challenge due to how system taxing it is, and it does feel extremely unoptimized right now. Flight Unlimited also uses asynchronous space warp, which does seem to be dynamic, but when it does kick in, this game frankly can look terrible. But luckily, it isn't present all of the time. The planes themselves have 4K cockpits, which do look nice, and when the real world geometry eventually loads in, Flight Unlimited has moments of looking tremendous, but it's also full of frame stutters and the environment struggles, especially when you hit lots of 3D geometry like mountains, for example. Plus, there's no real navigation in this game at all. For example, you cannot plan a flight route from A to B. You literally just get to take off, fly around until you get bored and want to use another plane. So it does feel extremely bare bones, especially as an early access offering. The developers have said over the 6 months though, they will keep adding features leading up to the full release, and early adopters can expect all activities to be unlocked soon. Additional planes, a Las Vegas flying location plus others, improved aircraft performance, weather, a complete ocean and water overhaul, 3D roads on major highways, air traffic, and improved audio. Now, I wanted to make this video because I know a lot of people are actually excited about Flight Unlimited, and I want them to know what they're getting into with early access. And personally, I would not call this early access at the moment, but more of a beta. And I don't mean that just in terms of content. The game simply doesn't run very good at times, and then we have lots of sound glitches, and the aircraft, I think, actually sound pretty poor in my opinion. The planes look okay from the outside if you care to actually stand up and have a look around them, but that doesn't really matter too much because you'll always be in the cockpit. And as I said, the cockpits actually do look quite nice, and when everything lines up and it's running really well, this game does feel very immersive. But the ultimate question is, should you invest in Flight Unlimited in early access? And I'm honestly a bit on the fence with this one. It's clearly got promise, and I do believe the dev will improve a lot of this over time, but I also feel Quest already has some great flying games already, like the excellent Warplane series, which also has a great online mode for dogfights, and then you get Dawn of Jets, which I personally really like, and I do actually recommend all of those games over Flight Unlimited as it is right now, especially if you've never purchased any flying games on the Quest before. My code GTVR, which I'll pin in the comments, will save you 20% on every Quest game up till Christmas, so if you haven't invested in any flight sims, now's a pretty good time to do so. But back to Flight Unlimited, if you're desperate, I do think this game is worth a punt, but I also think it might be more sensible to hold off for a couple of months to see some updates roll out. Well, there we have it, that's all I've got for you today. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and also let me and others know what are your favourite flight sim games on the Quest, and I'll see you on the next one.